Hey, how you doing, listeners? This is another episode of Serving Up Comics, part of the Waffle Press podcast. I'm here with a cool guest, a friend of mine who I met at Comic Con. I think we met at a panel, and
Yeah, yeah.
we just kind of hit it off. He gave me a free graphic novel. I want to welcome to the show Wyatt Kennedy. How you doing, Wyatt?
Hey man, I'm doing good. Yeah, no, I think it was the G4
Oh,
like anniversary panel or something like that. I think it was like
yes,
the 1 year or something. It was
yeah.
like
The
1 year and keep going or something.
Yeah, the 1 year we're back and then it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is part of my history, part of the lore. Yeah, G4.
Because
It
I was
was
there, I was there to see Kasim. That was the first
mhm,
time we him synced up in person because he had been a fan of Bolero, and that's why he has the forward in it.
mhm.
I've been a fan of Kasim's for like since I was like since I was
Yeah.
in high school,
Yeah,
which
no.
would make him feel old to
He's not that old. He's not that old. I could also attest Kasim G. Worked with him at G4. Nice guy, great dude.
he's excellent. He's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he wrote the foreword for your book, Bolero.
Mhm.
Great graphic novel. I enjoyed it. Thank you again for the free copy last
Yeah,
year. I
definitely.
read it. Um, but yeah, yeah, welcome to the podcast. It's cool to have you on because I think we were been trying to do this for a little bit. So now you're
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no, I remember you reaching out and then me being like, hell yeah. And then like I think like the most insane following year of my life of work and moving and just like a
Hmm.
whole bunch of stuff kind of just got in the way. And now that things have stabilized, I'm like, okay, I'm in control of my ship. I can do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh yeah.
All this time later, I appreciate you not just being
Mhm.
like, fuck off, you missed your window.
No, no, I have like, always like I have like a good memory. So like I think of like people to have on or like bring on the show, you know, like it's all like in a document somewhere, you know. But yeah, it's like a cool party guest. But yeah, no, yeah, it's cool. I love your work. It's been cool. Seeing like different comics of yours come out, I guess, in the last year. We'll talk about it later. You have a comic coming out called Nights. But
Yep.
yeah, just for any listeners that aren't familiar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I was born in New York City. I was born in Queens, and then kind of after my folks split, I moved to Florida, where a lot of my time I grew up in like St. Petersburg,
Hmm.
which is kind of where like the basis for Knights is like Santa Pedro, St. Pete. It's just like all the fucking same.
Yeah.
And I just really I had that I had that quintessential art kid origin story of like I
Yeah.
was really lonely and I was an indoor kid.
Mm.
It's like the first medium you fall in love with is like film. And I
Hmm.
didn't grow up, I didn't really read comics consistently until I was a teenager because I didn't have any access to them. So
Oh, nice.
I never, I didn't, I think, I genuinely think the first comic book that I ever actually read was it was at a I think it was at like a Dollar General one time. I was with my sister for some
Mm.
reason. I was like, I'm like probably like 10 or something.
Yeah.
And they had like a bunch of like super cheap reprints of the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
It sounds like the most quintessential, like it sounds so
Yeah.
cliche of like, and I read Spider-Man #1 written by Stan Lee with art by Steve Ditko, and it
Hmm.
changed my life. Meanwhile, I'd seen the Raimi films and I'd like watched, the cartoons and stuff. I knew who Spider-Man was, but
Yeah.
like, I hadn't really like been around like comic books that much.
Yeah.
Um, and then I would say it was like going like back when Borders bookstore was still a thing.
Oh, I love those. I love Borders.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful sections and seeing them. And then I think like my first major comic that I hunted down when I went back on a trip to New York was a hardcover version of J. Michael Straczynski's Amazing Spider-Man: The
Mm.
Other Run. And
Oh, yeah.
that was like the first comic. I remember I bought it was like a thick hardcover. I bought it because I remember it was like when I wanted to educate myself on something that I had no access to by the time that I was like preteen, we
Hmm.
had the internet. So I would just go on to like Marvel Wikipedia or like whatever and just like read about like, oh my God, all this stuff that's happened in comics, that's crazy. And then when I got to like, what was then recent of like Spider-Man is dead, and I was like,
Yeah.
God, I gotta figure out what that means. Like, I can't believe they killed Spider-Man, 29-year-old me right now laughing. It's like, no, first time.
Yeah. First time he
Um,
dies, comes back.
comes back every single, and then yeah, and then I moved from Florida when I was like 21 to Las Vegas, and then pandemic happened,
Uh,
and moved to Portland at the behest of my friend Brandon Graham, who has also worked for Image for a very
mhm,
long time, does amazing work, and was just like, you come to Portland and let's figure out how to get you into comics, because I wanted to be a
cool.
screenwriter for a really long time. I
Hmm.
wanted to be, when I was younger, I was like 10 years old as like director, and then
Yeah.
like 16 is like, I want to be a screenwriter. Those guys seem cool and totally treated well.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like somewhere in the middle, it all just kind of like middled out to like comic book writer,
Hmm.
and I love it. I do, and I'm still working on those other kinds of things. Like I recently
Hmm.
just got a manager, and now he's like, start working on television pilots, and I'm like, I haven't done those. I haven't even like fucked around with the screenplay format in like years. So now it's like
Yeah.
actually scary and exciting to do. But yeah, now I'm here in Portland, and I'm hoping to bounce across between like Portland and LA. But yeah, no, I'm just keeping to myself these days.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to like stay busy. It's been cool kind of like because we follow each other on Instagram,
Yeah,
seeing like, like all the like cool, cool stuff you're getting into and everything. And yeah, I've been like buying nights and everything.
I
But
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, no, it's cool knowing your comic book origin story, you know. It's certainly it was
It's so cliche. It's so like
uh
it's the most baseline, like like you read like Hideo Kojima's background. And it's like he was
mhm.
a lonely boy who moved around a lot and really liked movies. And it's like, yeah, same as the rest of us, pal. Get in line,
Yeah. Got
But
it.
like he's Hideo Kojima, so it's like the
Hmm.
end result is like, yeah, that lonely childhood really formed him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, kind of. Yeah. It really did. Something about, because I'm an only child, something about being by yourself and having no one to interact with like forces you to be creative or like,
See, at
like,
least at least you kind of had that. I have an older sister,
hmm.
but like she was not into the stuff that I was into at all. There was no,
Yeah.
we were each other's best friends when we were kids, but there came that, that separation point when you get older where you're like, well, I'm into this particular kind of stuff, and she has no fucking interest in that whatsoever. And now she's hanging out with people her age, and I'm still just like hanging out by myself.
Yeah. 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 No, no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like, like I love like always like hearing about like people's like first comic or something because it's like I feel like you always like remember like yours, right?
Yeah, what was yours?
It was so I still have it somewhere like at my parents' house and it's like ripped to shreds, but it's I remember because it's like I got it like at a general like a medicine store like when I was sick or
Weird.
something. Yeah, I was like 6 years old and forgetting sorry. Um the comic was John Bryn's Spider-Man Chapter One, which is a terrible comic. If anyone doesn't know, John Bryn is like a weird dude and um it is like it's like issue 7 or 8 and it has like Mysterio on the cover
Mhm.
and it's like I mean he's a good artist for sure
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
a weird guy. I don't know but like yeah it's like it's such a weird comic because it tries to like combine because it's a retelling and of the first
And he
couple
was the
like
guy you went to at the time for that kind of stuff.
yeah um like a retelling of like the first like 20 issues of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man.
Jeez.
And like they try to combine stuff. So it's like Mysterio comes in, but then it's like Electro's also there. And these are like combining like these two different storylines that like Stan Lee was just like winging it too, right? He's using the Marvel method. They're not supposed to be like this episodic sort of thing, you know, like
Yeah.
and he makes like weird decisions like because they have similar hair if no one noticed. Sandman and Norman Osborn are cousins in that comic.
What?
Yeah, the Green Goblin, because like John Byrne was um, it's like, can we? It was like they have cornrows, like they both have this weird hair. They're cousins, right? And then someone at Marvel Editorial was like, oh, okay, yeah,
Oh, that's some Spider-Man turn off the dark level logic right there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never seen that. I like
I
I could
have. I have
really. Did you see
I
it in
went
person? Oh my
I
god,
saw it in person. I
in
have seen
Broadway.
Spider-Man Broadway musical when I was 17.
Wow.
It was I didn't go to one of the accident shows. I went to like a they mostly pulled it off without a hitch after like all the big rewrites and everything.
Hmm.
And it was fine, but the main reason I went was because my mom and I saw a 60-minute special on it. And it was at the height of like, it's the most expensive train wreck ever made. And they're talking about all the people that were injured. And we're watching it. And at the end of the report, my mom looks at me and goes, do you want to see it? And I was like, are you serious? And she goes, well, think about it. If we go and someone hurts themselves, we have a
Hmm.
story to tell.
Yeah, there you
If we
go.
go and it's a good show, we still got a good show. So there's really no lose scenario in that. So we literally like the next weekend, like just flew to New York, saw it, and then went back the same day. And we're just kind of like, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I hope they put that on Disney Plus or something.
Did you see the Blacklist script? What was it? The I can't remember if it was like the Blacklist script winners, and one of them was one about a guy writing the Spider-Man musical.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I would be very
Oh
curious to
no.
read that one because that sounds really good.
Who's gonna play Bono or the Edge?
Oh man, who would play a good Bono?
Yeah, someone Irish, I would imagine.
I mean, like I mean, if you want to go full insane stunt casting, it's like, and the most like lowest, like low hanging fruit, it's like, I mean, Colin Farrell's right there.
Yeah,
He's
there you go.
and we know that man can transform at this point.
hmm
It's
He was
like,
great in Banshees of Irishmen.
yeah, no, he's great. I mean, Banshees, The Lobster, The Batman, a lot of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Just totally unrecognizable in the Batman.
hmm Yeah, he was good. Yeah,
I think
he
that's the
was.
only. I think, yeah, I'm pretty certain. I think that might be the only Batman movie that I actually like.
Oh, really? The Batman?
Yeah, and even then,
Oh,
it's like a 75%. There's 75% of that movie that I really really like to love, and there's 25% that I'm like, not my thing. But it's the
yeah,
closest it's ever hurdled over. Like
yeah.
I had my Dark Knight phase, but as
hmm
I've gotten older, I think of the three Nolan ones, Batman Begins is my favorite. I feel like I'm in a
Yeah,
minority on that one.
yeah. No, definitely.
I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah. Well, it's cool he gets to be a detective.
yeah, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. But that's also one of those like that's the bare minimum of like what we anticipate out of like, you know, a Batman story for a movie is like he gets to like investigate stuff and it's like, yeah, I mean that's kind of like the foundationals. I
hmm
but it's like
Of
I want
Batman.
more than just like him like picking up some clues and stuff. Like I think what I appreciate about the Batman is because I'm not a Batman fan.
hmm
DC, if they ever heard this, would be like,
Oh,
we're not giving it to him. Uh,
yeah.
but like the only Batman comic that I love is Year One because I
hmm
think that what's so great about Frank Miller's interpretation. Have you read Year One?
I did. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite comics.
what I love about Year One in that split, like you're seeing it from Gordon's perspective and you're seeing it from Bruce's perspective, is all of the Gordon voiceover, those like journal entries kinds of things are also like real and human and fallible and very emotional. Jim Gordon is a very complicated dude. And then you cut to like Batman or you cut to like Bruce's inner monologue, and it's like you're reading the Unabomber.
Yeah.
Like that intense creed and code, and you're like, oh, he's fucking crazy. Like he's an actual fucking crazy person. And they
Yeah.
don't mince that whatsoever. And I love that the Batman was like the first Batman movie to like be like, he's kind of a crazy person. Like he's not like cool.
Yeah, he's not
He's actually
well.
mentally unwell.
Yeah, or he's just like he has like was it doesn't let people in. He's like, what's that?
Oh, I know the word. I can't.
Yeah. He has
Uh,
like
well, I mean, like they even in the movie, like they drop the whole thing about like, oh, and Martha Wayne was also an inmate at Arkham Asylum for her mental disorder. And it's
yeah.
like keep going into that, and then they never do. And I'm like, ah, come on, keep exploring that. That'd be great.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy that that got to be in like a Warner Brothers like official adaptation of Batman.
Let alone a 3 hour one from the guy that did the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
That's their odd, and I love those movies. I think those movies rule, but it's just like such a weird like left field turn.
Yeah. Yeah. My God. Yeah. Um yeah, no, like I was gonna say for kind of going off of that, what comics and stuff are you watching? Or not watching, reading or anything, you know?
I'm a bad comic reader.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read as much as I probably used to, or as much as I should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially American comics. I
Yeah.
read a lot more manga these days.
Uh-huh.
And I would let's. I'm trying to think. Well, right now I'm still buckled into Chainsaw Man. I still love Chainsaw Man.
Nice. Yeah, I think we were
Love it,
talking about
love it.
that.
I read it week to week. Um, as far as like older stuff, uh, there's a really good manga called Yokohama Shopping Log that I really love that finally got an American translation and publication. I think it was from like Yen Press or something, or it was either Yen Press or it was one of the subsidiaries of Penguin. But it's like such a hard book, I feel like, to sell to someone because it's a book where nothing happens, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's set on basically like it's almost like a pre-apocalypse book
Mm-hmm.
set in like a coastal town in Japan. And it's about a cyborg girl, or really just like an android girl who runs a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not much happens in it. It's just her day to day hanging around these like inhabitants of this town. They're all just really mellow. And it's kind of just one of those like you're just kind of waiting for the end, but man, it's a really pretty wait. Like
Hmm.
stuff where, the android main character, she gets a camera in the mail and decides that she's just gonna take a bunch of photos for the day. And she just rides around on her little moped looking for things to take, and then she doesn't take anything because she just likes preserving that memory of the things that she saw that
Hmm.
day.
Yeah.
And it's like 400 chapters of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like it's a really hard sell for people because it's like, no, it's not, I feel like I'm recommending polar opposites of like Chainsaw Man, where it's just blood and tits and it's great. And also
Mm-hmm.
introspective, methodic to look at the human condition.
Hmm.
I really love that. And not let's see, Moonray, which is a an adaptation, or I guess a tie-in of an upcoming video game that my comics mentor Brandon Graham did. That just
Oh,
got released in hardcover. Um, I,
nice.
I did some work for it, but that won't be out until the third volume.
Okay.
That was great and really gorgeous.
Nice.
And then I guess like I love championing like stuff that's just under the radar that probably most people have never heard of. But I think my favorite comic that Image ever published is a completely silent comic called A Land Called Taro.
Okay.
Uh, I forget the name of the artist, but it is the only way I can describe it is if you took your memory of what it was like seeing a Final Fantasy, like early Final Fantasy box art,
Mm-hmm.
and what your imagination could just spawn off from that. There are no rules to it. Like I said, it's silent, there's no dialogue whatsoever, but it is just so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And it has this wonderful, like, just on a visual level, just has this wonderful internal, like, fairy tale logic to it that I just love. And the art is just absolutely gorgeous. But like, and it's still available. People can still find it. It's still in hardcover. But A Land Called Taro is like one of the most like it's my like top five like must read
Hmm.
book.
Yeah. Okay, I'm definitely checking those out. I'm always interested like in what people are reading or watching, kind of like informs like, yeah, like what, what to watch or something,
Oh yeah.
what to read, yeah. But yeah, no, definitely yeah, definitely checking those out or trying to,
Oh yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah. I guess it's kind of going off of that. Speaking of books, let's talk about Knights, which is an ongoing series now. It's from Image Comics. Um, you had the third issue just came out last
Yeah.
week. Okay, cool,
I
cool.
think it was last week or the week before. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's one of those things of like when you're so I spent about maybe like a year of development on just like trying to get the first three issues ready to go.
Mhm.
Because when you're doing work with Image, you need to have the first three issues like locked, and then they'll like do the rollouts and the announcements and et cetera. And so when you're making it, you're kind of really obsessed in those first three issues,
Mhm.
and you read them so many times over, and you're making adjustments and everything, that it just stops feeling real. And now that you literally saying like the third issue came out, and I was like, oh, I guess it has. I've just been looking at it like every like I got my comps for issue 4, and it's weird because that feels like we just finished doing that like yesterday,
Yeah.
and now that that's like out, so it's like weird that it's like the feelings of working on it and the release date are coming neck and neck in real time now. That,
Hmm.
oh, this is real. Oh, bizarre. Like
Yeah.
it never fully sets in that it's like a real thing that people own.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, yeah, I have like the first two issues. I need to get the third one. I will. Yeah, they are the comic store that I go to, it's a House of Secrets right now, and they
Mm.
ran out. So
Oh
they're
wow.
yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
yeah, hyping you up. But yeah, they said they'd order the next one, so I'm a little behind. But just going off of that, like I've been really enjoying it. I read your first graphic novel, and I really enjoy kind of like the like nuance or kind of like I don't know, notice like kind of talks about like a lot of like emotional like relationships and connections and like how kind of like muddy, like stuff could
Yeah.
be, or just like I don't know, I've never had like a comic where it just talks about like, yeah, like sometimes like, you have friends and then like guys have like fuels or like stuff like that, and then just like stuff, because it's like I think that's really cool. Can you talk a little bit about some of
Yeah.
that like nuance and stuff you bring to it?
I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, it's like I as I get older, I think it's just the stuff that I'm more attracted to as time goes on. And I'm very, I if you read my stuff, all you're doing is you're reading a time capsule of like what I was really into and what I was really feeling at the time.
Hmm.
I feel like Bolero and Nights are on this kind of like, it's Bolero was me dealing with my alcoholism and my depression.
Hmm.
And it's very transparent in the book.
Yeah.
And me when I was making that book, I didn't really think about any other people on that one. Like I wasn't really thinking about like what a reader's gonna think or the it was just kind of like my own private like art project that
Yeah.
then just happened to be published, and then now it's in bookstores and blah blah blah. And it was it was weird letting go of that for a while,
Hmm.
and how important it was to me, and how I think I didn't register how personal it was. Like
Yeah.
telling this really personal story and being vocal about like this was really personal is one thing, but then when you have other people like connecting to it or talking about it or dissecting it, it kind of takes a new life form where it's kind of like you're talking about me.
Yeah.
It feels way more heightened in that way.
Yeah.
And then, after Bolero was done, I think I even put in the postscript for it in the trade and in the final issue that I was like, I'm probably never going to write anything like this again because I'm happy now. My
Yeah.
life is better, and I feel like that happiness shifts into nights.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um. Oh, hang on one second.
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
uh, Sorry, that was my lovely wife waking up
Hmm.
asking where I am, and I'm like, I'm
Oh.
upstairs.
Oh no, it's all good. I could,
I'm doing an interview.
yeah, no, no, I could edit that out too.
Oh
So
no, you're fine.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, jumping into nights was like, I was happy. I've been with my wife for a while, and
Hmm.
I think that happiness kind of afforded me the ability to chill out a little bit. I think with nights,
Hmm.
I wasn't really thinking about what people would feel, but I still wanted to prove myself
Yeah.
as a new voice. That's the first comic I ever did. I don't have any, formal training in comic writing, so everything that I put out, every person is going to kind of quickly realize like, oh, he's learning it in real time. You
Yeah.
know, for better or worse, because I'm a student at this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and when you read, I think if you read Bolero across those 5 issues, I think you can feel me getting more confident. And Knights is almost kind of like a back to square one in that I'm really proud of all the issues that come out, and especially of all the hard work that my team does. But it still also feels a lot like, I'm learning as I go. I'm not necessarily making it up as I go along. I do have a lot of plans
Hmm.
for for the series, and how we're planning on going for like 31 issues.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
wow.
but it's still kind of like, oh, he's, you'll notice me kind of pulling out like certain like tricks or like format ideas or things like that, because it's just me being like, oh, I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I really like the response that we've gotten from it so far, especially from young people. I feel like Bolero was a book that was very much made for like people in their 20s.
Hmm.
And so it like, we have an official Instagram for Nights, and it's been fun seeing like teenagers
Yeah.
follow it and like tag us in it and post about it and be like, I really love this book. And I'm like, yeah, like I want people to feel the way that I would have wanted to feel if I discovered Nights when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's like I think it's really cool because it's like, like some of the stuff like, it's cool to have like, like just talk about like, make you feel like a teenager again or like, when you're in love or like when you're like, like kind of like heartbroken or something over someone. So it's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit because it's like it's cool like all the like kind of like the lore of this where it's like, there's like vampires and like ghosts and like kind of the world building aspect because I'm like that's really rad.
Oh man, so it's funny because it's gonna be hard not to talk about the book and certain things that I have read about it online that have not been nice.
Oh, oh no.
And
Don't go
in
on
a
don't
way
go
that's like,
online.
let me address my fucking haters out there. But I guess
Yeah.
like it's like these things don't exist in a vacuum, so I can talk about where I'm kind of coming from on this stuff. But you know, my wife and I talked about it a lot. I'm not overtly fond of world building.
Hmm.
Specifically in that I feel like it's very easy for people to get high off of that,
Yeah.
and to mistake it for story and to
Hmm.
mistake it for anything that it's not.
Yeah.
Um, and it's never really interested me. It feels like homework at a certain point,
Hmm.
versus something that I feel is more interesting, which is setting.
Yeah.
Allowing something to exist in a way and for it to be treated by characters in the story like anyone would in our own world,
Hmm.
And, I try to be very upfront with like that page one of Nights and being like, here's the rules. Florida's owned by Spain. America's 31 states. The internet basically doesn't exist,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
supernatural creatures exist. And that was me just being like, there you go. That's all you need to know. You don't need, because the big thing to me is the quote unquote world building stuff isn't relevant. It's not really important. I've
Hmm.
had people ask about like, oh, I'd really like to know like what's the history of this alternate America. You're not going to know because personally, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's
Hmm.
about this kid with his friends
Hmm.
and the situations and the adventures and the emotions that they get into. Not to be all Bruce Willis and Looper about it, of just
Yeah.
like slamming my fist on the table. It doesn't matter,
Doesn't
but
matter. Yeah.
but it's like, but the thing that I do enjoy though is that like when you kind of have what I like doing with it is that it's so low in terms of like these are the rules. They're very small ones. Just like supernatural creatures exist. I don't really need to get into the hierarchy of how these exist and blah blah blah. It's just like I can just allow it to fit where it needs to. You know,
Yeah.
we're in subsequent issues, we're having different creatures show up, and some of them play major parts in the story, and some of them are kind of like gag one-off things. But it kind of doesn't matter their usage because it's just kind of like, well, we know that they exist, so like, what are you going to do with them? You
Yeah.
know, and I there is a subsection of world building that will be done about the main location of the book. And that's more out of like what the scope of the story is growing into.
Hmm.
But there's never going to be, you know, a kind of like a Silmarillion style, like,
It'd be
here's
cool
the
though.
history of like the world
Yeah.
of knights, because it's just kind of like, I don't, it doesn't matter. And also,
Yeah.
I think I like
Hmm.
genuinely reading people's takes on these things and like what their imagination like fills into there, because I like creating things where people will comfortably bring their own baggage to it.
Yeah.
Uh, and especially with like a world like this, because you know, I've seen, I remember I saw a comment once on a positive review, and it was someone saying that like, well, the world building just feels shallow, and it introduces things and then they never come up again. And my first response to that is always, bro, we've been out for 3 fucking issues.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're planning for 31.
Hmm.
Like, I think we can allow ourselves to like breathe a little bit. But
Yeah.
also it's a kind of thing of just like, I love I love Richard Linklater movies. I
Hmm.
love Donald Glover projects like Atlanta, and the
Oh
foundation of
yeah.
a lot of projects like that are, you're not gonna get answers sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter what the answer would have been.
Yeah.
And also, it's a little bit more meaningful in a way if something can leave an impression on you and you're never going to see it again.
Yeah.
You
No.
know, like
Yeah.
there are, issue two. This isn't really a spoiler, but I love people's response to issue two because
Hmm.
of how many people love Starvin. Like, I love that people
Yeah.
love a weird little talking mole that gives life advice. We're
Yeah.
never going to see him again.
Oh, dude. I like that character. I wish I had my
I
own
know.
Starman.
But it's like, if I had him popping up all the time, I feel like the specialness
Yeah.
of experiencing in real time with the main character of like, and then he meets this mole and they're really nice and they
Yeah.
go this journey together, and then you're just never gonna see them again. Like,
Hmm.
I think it's because like as a kid, I'm and even as an adult, I always get crazy bummed in a good way. I get bummed in stories when a character, meets or like forms like a friend. It's the Wizard of Oz kind of a thing of just like, you meet all these people and they're amazing, and form close bonds, and then you get to the end of the story and the end of the journey, and it's like, and now you're never going to see each other again.
Yeah.
And like, even
Yeah.
as a kid, it's like it bums you out because it's just like you form that attachment and you think about like, man, if I couldn't see that person ever again, that would probably bum me out. But man, I'm glad I experienced that. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, that's just like life sometimes too. Like there's just people where it's like you'll only like hang out with them or like be really close for like a certain amount of time and then like, things change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going a little deep there, but like,
I don't know. It's what I mean. It's what I strive for in my work. So we can get fucking real, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's like kind of like I was curious. I know like like the lore is like lore, but like like sorry, did you have any like vampire like sort of like movies or like characters that you really enjoy, even though like backstory is like whatever, but like if you're like thinking about it.
I mean, so it's complicated to answer this without also giving spoilers for the book.
Okay, for sure.
Um, but so the way I'll dance around it is that, um, I guess the biggest inspirations for me were Let the Right One In, the book and the Swedish film.
Okay, it's a
Um,
both great films.
love it. I love the innocence of it when it is innocent.
Hmm.
I love so something that me and when Luigi and I'm the artist on the book,
Yes.
when he and I were developing it, we actually had the characters much older. We had them in their
Okay.
20s. and we had our lead Vince in his 20s as well.
Yeah.
Um, and as I was like doing different passes and everything and just kind of trying to flesh out the heart of it, I just kept on hitting this wall and I was like, something's just not working here, man. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. And I took like a walk at like 3 a.m. and I was just listening to music and I was just like kind of thinking. And I just like frantically like message because Luigi lives in he lives in Glasgow in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I message him and I'm like, I think I figured out what the problem is. And I go, I think Vince is too old. I think we
Mm.
need to bring it back a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think we had it as like he was like 21 in like the earliest version.
Yeah.
And Luigi was like, well, maybe we should like bring him back to 19. And then we both kind of have this pause, and we're both kind of like, he needs to be like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
He needs to be at like a decently formative age, like right before the threshold opens into quote unquote adulthood, but like just where you're still on the cusp of like having experiences that are so rooted in being juvenile and young, and it's the right direct precursor to like adulthood.
Hmm.
Um, and I always love like the parts of Let the Right One in, especially the book, that I always love are the scenes when Ellie is sneaking into Oscar's room and they're just like laying in bed and they're just talking and they're not facing each other, they're just like sitting in the dark and they're just like, being very emotionally forthcoming with each other. And I
Yeah.
think like that's such a wonderfully tangible feeling. And
Yeah.
like even the description of like, like Oscar trying to like hold them for the first time, and that description of like, wow, their skin is like ice cold, but I still want
Yeah.
to hold you. And
Hmm.
I've just loved moments like that. And then I guess like uh I love the original, no disrespect to the original, but I have
No,
a
yeah.
big affinity for the 2012 or 2011 or 2012 Fright Night remake.
Oh yeah, it's 2011 actually.
I
I
love
I
I
I haven't
love
seen that actually. I've seen the
I love
original.
that.
It's
I,
good? Okay.
I love it very, very much. And I love, once again, I love how it hones in on this kind of like because I mean Anton is so great in it. Again, the whole cast is amazing, and Colin
Yeah.
Farrell is fucking amazing.
R.I.P.
I know it's such a bummer. But it really captures like the 2010s like teenage boy attitude in a way that really surprised me because it's
Hmm.
written by the it's written by Tom Holland. It like it's by the original
Yep.
director, not to be confused. Um and it captures like that perfect 2010s like what it was like being a teenage boy in a kind of like slackery, lazy kind of way that I just really
Hmm.
loved.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last one would be my favorite anime trilogy, the Kizu Monogatari trilogy, which I post about semi regularly. I think it's amazing, and the vampire stuff that they do in there. I mean, like a lot of like anime stuff that I really love that plays with vampires are so fast and loose with the rules. And I've always loved that. I've always loved the kind of like, it's very spongy, it's very different. I got done watching recently with my wife, Penny Dreadful recently, and the kind of like you don't always have to abide by certain rules. And I'll just say with Knights that like Gray does and doesn't abide by certain rules, but that's the point, and it is
Hmm.
something that's going to be explored uh, actually pretty openly by issue 5 and 6.
Oh, cool.
By issue 6, we're gonna kind of like I love in an ongoing, especially like just constantly reinventing characters.
Hmm.
And by issue 6, Gray is gonna have like a very big reinvention that kind of like
Oh,
changes the trajectory of the book
interesting. Okay.
forward. That
All
I'm really
right.
excited for people to check out because I feel like so far, like issue 1 is very like slice of life, and then issue 2, I wanted it to feel very like just like wandering around with your friend late at night, and then
Hmm.
issue 3 is like the first like okay, I'm gonna talk about some I hesitate to say it's some world building stuff,
Yeah.
and some character background stuff, and there is some action in that one. It's like got the first like real, I guess, action sequence of the book is in issue 3, but issue 5 and issue 6, which are like the first like two-parter of the book, because we wanted everything to feel kind of like you could pick one issue up and still get a full story out of it.
Yeah.
But the scope of issue 5 became so massive that I was like, I cannot do this in one. I would,
Yeah.
I'm stretching it too much.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for people to check that out because I feel like that's when it really becomes what it has always been in my eyes, but I kind of had to Trojan horse it a little bit for other people just jumping in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's working. It's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kind of changing gears here because you mentioned the artist on the book, Luigi. Can you talk a little bit about his artwork or
Oh yeah.
because
Um,
I think it's great. Yeah, I love comic book art. So yeah.
Thank you. Luigi's
Yeah.
amazing. We've never, funny enough, I had never even heard Luigi's voice until like this past month.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
So when I was doing Bolero and I worked with Luana Vecchio,
Hmm.
incredibly talented artist, the kind of like adage of like when you're getting into comics or even when you're in comics is like you're always working on stuff. Like you have to always be working on stuff. And so while I was in the midst of Bolero, I'm hearing from a lot of other people like, think about what your next thing's gonna be. And I like looking for artists first and then kind of retroactively going like, well, what would I really want to see them do? And it's usually the inverse of like what it is that they've been doing already.
Yeah.
Uh, and with Luigi, he had been doing books in Italy, like he'd done some Dylan Dog work and he'd done Samuel Stern, very, cool guy in like suit, gothic, supernatural adventures kind of a thing. And so he kind of had that down pat, but I started following him on Instagram and then I messaged him.
Hmm.
I can't even, but he and I have talked about it a lot, but neither of us can remember the point where it like stopped being kind of like polite, casual, like business talk of like, I like your work. I like your work too. Let's like, come up with something together. And then it just immediately felt like we were just like bonding as just like two dudes crashing on a couch playing like video games.
Yeah.
And we realized just like how much we had in common, all the stuff that we liked, all the stuff that we could recommend each other to check out. And it was kind of the cherry on top of just like I went to him with the statement of like I love your art, and then quickly was just like, oh, you're an amazing person, and he's like one of my, if not my like best friend at this point in
Hmm.
terms of just like every I
Hmm.
comics can be very stressful for a lot of people.
It seems like it. Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of needlessly so. There's a lot of like, there's the production aspect of things which are just a necessity. It's like you're making something. You have deadlines. You are working with a team, it's like this is what's gonna happen. And I've made a lot of peace with the kind of frustration of like, I forgot to do this or I need to do this, and we only have a day until or blah blah blah. But like you're still making like the most fun. I've said it before to other interviewers, but it's just like I'm making a book with my best friend, and
Nice.
the stakes are so low. We just love making it for us. We're kind of a like money is nice, and the book is doing well, but we're not really doing it because we're like this is gonna be the fucking IP gangbuster, and we're gonna get movie deal, TV deal, et cetera, et cetera. We just wanted to make a fun book,
Yeah.
and we were lucky in that when I pitched it to Eric Stevenson, who's the publisher at Image, I pitched him, this kind of loose approximation of like, I want to do this kind of like slice of life, supernatural love story. And I kind of talked to him about like the world and the characters and where I wanted to take all the characters. And I had initially pitched it to him as like an 8 to 11 issue miniseries. And I was
Yeah.
like, do you have any like notes? Because he had shepherded Bolero with a lot of wonderful suggestions. And I asked him, if he had any notes about Knights, and he goes, yeah, you should make it an ongoing.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And then that kind of like made me had to completely reinvent those pre-existing plans.
Yeah.
But it's fun because then it just allowed me and Luigi to just get more imaginative
Yeah.
with it and be like, well, we could do whatever we want. And now that we have more issues to play with, it's like issue to issue, we could do just like crazier and crazier things. Like the kind of rundown for stuff that we're doing in the future right now is like um, we got issue 4 coming out next month, and that's going to be focused mainly on Vince's cousin Ivory. And then we have issue 5 and 6, which are the first two-parter, which is very like Gray and Vince heavy, and kind of we kind of envision each of the runs of the book as like issues 1 through 11 is kind of season one if it were a TV show.
Hmm.
The next batch of 10 issues would be season two, and then the final batch would be the last season.
Yeah.
And so issues 5 and 6 are kind of like the mid-season point where things are really like turning. But it's just fun because like working with Luigi, his character designs are fantastic, but I could get lost in that man's backgrounds. They're
Yeah.
so
Yeah. They're
good.
good.
And I'll
They
give
have,
him things that I'm like, I'm not Alan Moore levels of like, I'm gonna write an entire essay about like what the location is gonna be. Because I feel like
yeah,
it's very
specific
reductive.
panel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I feel like it's very reductive to the artist's imagination. And
Hmm.
so issue 5 and 6 take place at a water park. And I didn't give Luigi any major specifications. I gave him some reference photos and I was just kind of like, I want to see what your version of this looks like. And it
Yeah.
looks so good, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
And he and I often talk about like crafting locations that just don't feel real, but you want to be there. Or you almost feel like you remember it. Like I love like the gas station in issue 2 in the middle of the
Yeah.
woods. Like
Yeah.
it's such a mundane thing that I feel like is just so gorgeous. And also our colorist Francesco Segala, I feel like is also just like knocking it out of the park with how beautifully he renders Luigi's artwork with just all the colors. I think it just looks great. But I just, we he and I we have this Luigi and I we have this wonderful shorthand where I just ping him. I send him the scripts, we talk about it, and then after that we just mainly just talk about whatever the hell we want to and make jokes, or we just talk about things that are just going to keep us excited about doing the book because
Yeah.
we know it's going to be a lengthy commitment. And it's I think about that Bo Burnham quote where he's like, I'm in the service industry, man, and the minute that I'm doing a bad job, fire me. And we don't
Yeah.
want the book to lose the quality that we feel like we're maintaining with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm been, reading it for like, a couple issues now, and it's pretty solid. So I'm very excited to see the next issue. When the comic store puts in that order and it's there, read the third issue.
I
Uh
appreciate it.
yeah, no, of course, of course. Because yeah, no, it's cool. Like always support independent artists, independent comics, especially because it's like,
Yes.
yeah, as much as I love Batman, I'm a Batman stan, I'm a Spider-Man stan. Like you can't always read just Batman, just Spider-Man. Like there's other cool shit in comics, which yeah.
I appreciate that, and I wish I would really like more people. I do love a lot of superhero stuff. I don't have the hate boner for superheroes that someone like a Garth Ennis does.
Yeah.
But
He
you
oddly
like
likes Superman though. That's weird.
it? Say again. Sorry, I think you
Oh yeah,
froze.
yeah. Yeah, sorry. He oddly likes Superman for some reason. He hates everyone except Superman.
Which you'd never expect considering Homelander as a character.
Yeah, he's like the Morrissey of comic book writers.
Truly, and I love Superman. Superman is probably my favorite DC character.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I do agree with Garth Ennis's quote about like that there should be more comics beyond just superhero comics. That
Yeah.
it's like kitchen sink dramas, romance, western. Like I really hope that more people are open to like broadening their horizons. And that's part of why like Knights is kind of like a fun like experiment in some ways, because like issue to issue we always talk about like wanting to like switch genres or like format ideas, and it's just fun to try and remind people like you can do a lot of different things with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, just kind of I guess we'll segue to the next topic in a second, but anything you want to like say or like kind of maybe like I know you kind of like hinted at for their issues, anything to people to look forward to.
um yeah, I mean I can lay it out coming up, and I think one of these would be another good segue for the other topic that
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah. Yeah.
cover was that so after the issue 5 and 6, and that's going to kind of be the cap that'll be collected in the first trade, which will be out next year. The kind of subsequent back half of the first season is going to be a Halloween issue that I'm really excited for.
Hmm.
The Christmas issue that I'm I wish I wish if we had gone back in time and if the book had come out sooner, if it was able to come out this month, I would be so thrilled. But it's probably going to come out like the spring or summer of next year.
Yeah.
It won't bother me because I'm hopeful that people will just like maybe they'll want to just crack it open when Christmas time comes next year.
Yeah.
And then we have, the another two-part kind of like season finale. And that's another big game changer. That's a big tonal changer for that one. I know it's very uh overused a lot, but the second season of the book, or what we have planned with the second season of the book, is a lot darker than where things are right now. So I
Hmm.
would say to people that are enjoying the kind of like lighter, fun, slice of life hangout tone that we've got right now, enjoy it while it lasts.
Hmm.
Because the subsequent issues, especially the tail end of this first run, issues 10 and 11, that's gonna be the first taste of like, oh no, this is about to get very, very dark very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And no one is safe. Just to let people know, nobody is safe. We're not pulling punches on things. So
Okay. All right.
you
Well,
don't get to that last page of issue one without there being some major consequences.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll look forward to that, and I hope listeners check out Nights, which is on sale at your local comic book store, anywhere. Yeah. Um, Definitely check it out. So, in Bolero, in Nights, there were some like winter sort of scenery, some Christmas
Yes.
stuff. So I guess because I was like, when I pitched this episode to you, I'm like, do you want to talk about Christmas movies? And you're like, yeah, sure. So Wyatt, any Christmas movie recommendations that you may have? Because I'm interested, because like two of your books now have had holiday Christmas stuff in it.
Yeah. I'm from the Shane Black knockoff school of just like I love Christmas, man. I love it.
Yeah, I I I love Shane Black, my favorite screenwriter.
Oh, likewise. I mean, like it's cliche to say, but one of them was going to be Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh,
That
nice.
movie,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
movie, that movie rules. I know it's at this point. I remember just when I was a freshman in college, at the height of like Tumblr era stuff, and in the film kind of like kid scene, it was slowly becoming that new kind of like underground, like, hey, I know everyone's watching Iron Man, but have you ever seen this movie that Robert Downey Jr. did right before? It's like
Hmm.
really dark and funny and clever and violent, and
Yeah.
now everybody knows about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I feel like. So it's not something I can reinvent, like trying to sell people on. It's like it's Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr., directed and written by Shane Black, like everyone top of their game. It's amazing. But that one, recent Christmas movie I really loved was Alexander Payne's The Holdovers.
Yeah, that one's really good. I really enjoyed that film. It felt really like I don't know, yeah, like it's a Christmas movie. I love Christmas movies, but like it's also just like it's very unique because it's like a lot of people are like alone on Christmas, you know? And it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
characters.
I think it was Shane Black that said that like the reason why Christmas can be so fun to set something in, and I wholeheartedly agree, is that like it heightens loneliness. It heightens all emotions,
Hmm.
but loneliness is especially the top of the list. And I love how the holdovers handles that. I mean, this has been a great year for like kitchen sink, like lower budgeted like dramas,
Yeah.
and the holdovers just like floored me, especially with Paul Giamatti just being incredible. My wife and I have been quoting that movie so often, but just like and I'm curious with for you, it's like what's the
Yes.
delineation between like what is a Christmas movie and what's a Christmas movie or what's a movie set at Christmas? You know,
Yes. Yeah.
like the old Die Hard debate of like it's a Christmas movie, and I'm like
Yeah.
at this point I don't think it matters because the joke has just been run into the ground.
Yeah. All right, good sir. I have always prepared for this because it's like
Oh,
this
I'm ready.
is, yeah, Christmas movie. It's like the character arc has to be like in Christmas because it's like John McClane, like it has to be tied into like basically just the holiday, the season, the
They
spirit.
learned the spirit, the true meaning of Christmas.
Yeah, because it's like John McClane, his character arc is he messed up. His wife separated from him. She moved away for a reason that we'll learn about in other films, that he's just like, like he's just not the best husband, and he wasn't there. and
Yeah.
it's like he goes to go see her. I always throw this joke at people, but it's like it's the most LA joke because it's like he's gonna. So she lives in Culver City, and he was planning to stay in Pomona, which I lived at one point, and that is fucking far. That's like he would granted so well, this is in the 80s, the freeways would not have been developed. There would be less traffic,
Mhm.
but he would still have to at least like 2 hours, like maybe an hour and a half each time going back and forth. But anyway, to commute to Culver City. But yeah, he goes back and like he like learns like his mistake of like not being there for his family through the arc of this film. It's an action movie, it's whatever, but yeah, it's like that's like very like profoundly in the Christmas spirit because it's like, you know, you reflect on a lot of stuff, you think about things, you're like, man, like I wasn't cool, or I wish I wish I told this person something, or you know, I wish like I could be around this person during the holidays because now we're not like talking or something, you know?
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
I would probably also say prerequisite, if there had to be a version of a Christmas Carol, it's obviously Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So glad that on Disney Plus now they have the version that has the deleted song. I'm glad that they put that one back in there.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, like, I don't know. It's funny because it's like I feel like good Christmas movies are not made very often. They're very far and few in between. The ones that hit the cultural zeitgeist are like the ones that we've all seen ad nauseum. So it's like, it's like Elf,
Yeah.
fantastic. National
Yeah.
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation,
That's a good
great.
one.
Home Alone, great. Like
Uh-huh.
all of those things. That's like, yeah, well, we know those things. That's like weirdly, I'm drawn to like really good Christmas TV episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't talk about those enough sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, like The Bear, for example, their Christmas episode that I wish had they not done the binge model, if it had come out this month,
Yeah. Well,
all anyone would be talking about.
I'm currently on season 2 of The Bear. I have not watched the Christmas episode, so I am planning my binge to be like the 24th. I'll watch that Christmas episode.
Buckle up. I mean, it's a feature length episode.
Oh, is it? Oh
It
shit.
is. And I will
Okay.
not, do you know anything about the guest stars in it?
I know Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. What's Better Call Saul? What's his face?
Yes,
Alan.
Bob
Yeah,
Odenkirk's in it.
yeah, yeah.
Mulaney is in it.
Oh no, 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 not
It
that
is
movie.
it is so good and so stressful and perfectly captures that like it's I mean it's a borderline bottle episode.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, all right, all right.
and I love that element to it. But I mean like even Bruce Timm's Justice League cartoon or like Batman
Oh,
animated series, great
yeah.
Christmas episodes.
The yeah, New Batman Adventures, that episode where it's all holiday themed.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yep, Silent Night,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I love the last vignette, which is just Batman and Commissioner Gordon,
getting
and they're
coffee, yeah.
yeah, on New Year's Eve. I guess when the bell drops, their tradition is just to go to a diner and just have coffee
Yep.
until Batman just like dips out, so he doesn't have to
Just
pay the
leave.
check. Yeah, just like so rude. It's like how
No,
does he?
it's so good.
Yeah. Also the Justice League episode, the Christmas one, it's like Comfort and Joy, where it's like,
Yes, yeah, with Gorilla
yeah,
Grodd. Yeah, or
oh
not
no,
Gorilla Grodd, Ultra Humanite. That's
Ultra Humanite. They're very
yeah,
commonly mistaken. They're both
yes.
apes, or I don't know.
There's so many A. I remember one time I was watching something with my wife, DC related, and she asked me if it was it might have been when we were watching Peacemaker, and she was like, "Oh, is that Gorilla Grodd?" And I go, "I don't think it's Gorilla Grodd." And she goes, "How many apes are in DC Comics?" And I
Wow.
started listing them. It's like
It's
that's
like,
the dumbest thing I've ever
I
heard.
know, it's like Gorilla Grodd, Monster Mala, Ultra
Ultra
Humanite,
Humanite, Detective
so
Chimp, if you want to
Det-
be.
yeah, there's a lot. Oh my God. I think about this sometimes. Like, what do regular people think about comic books? It's like like
The
because it
dumbest thing in the world.
yeah, it's like, do they just like there are three ape characters in the DC universe that are villains? Okay, I'm not reading this.
And people are like, I wonder why no one wants to actually read comics right now. And yet, a less hard time trying to sell people on something like One Piece as opposed to like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
three apes in that Batman has fought, but they don't all hang out.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of other like like I'm trying to think
Episodes?
under the radar kind of like that's
Yeah.
a really good one. What about you? What do you have? What are your like annual staples?
Yeah, for like Christmas movies or like just shows or something.
Christmas movies? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for Christmas movies, which is it's very unconventional, but every Christmas Eve I try to double feature Die Hard and It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yeah.
Every yeah. So it's like because my parents, when I'm like home and visiting them, staying with them, they watch It's a Wonderful Life because it's on cable every year. And that's kind of like our tradition and it's great. And I freaking love that movie. That movie is like
They
amazing.
watch the black and white one or the Ted Turner coloring book edition.
Not the coloring book edition. That's his anti-art. I don't know. As long as
It's
he didn't
AI
destroy
art of
the
its day.
yeah, as long as he didn't destroy those negatives. But yeah, black and white. Yeah, it gets me every time. Not afraid to say that very last scene where he's like, no man is a failure who has friends. I'm like, God damn it. All the tears start coming. That one's great. But yeah, I think they go really well together. Die Hard and It's a Wonderful Life. Every year.
Gremlins. Gremlins is another one that I just
Oh
remember.
yeah. Gremlins is good. Yeah. Gremlins is good despite that one scene, which is like my father horribly died in a chimney accident dressed as Santa.
That scene is so out of nowhere,
It's so out of pocket. Yeah.
but it makes the joke in Gremlins 2 even better. when she,
Yes.
when she's about to, I think it's like it was Arbor Day, sweetie. I know you want to, but we can't do this right now. Oh
Oh
man.
man. Yeah. Oh man.
If
That I love that joke
Gremlins had
too
been a
in Gremlins.
Christmas movie, it would have even been more peak for me.
What's up?
If Gremlins 2 had been a Christmas movie, it would have been even like top
Yeah.
for me.
I don't even know how to describe Gremlins 2. Like it's just like a Looney
Live action
Tune.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
It's
it's like they're in Donald Trump Tower, but not called Donald Trump Tower.
oh my god,
There's
it's great.
there's a Trump character that's clearly Trump, but not. Hulk Hogan has a cameo. Daffy Duck is in the credits for some reason.
Great. I mean, well, I feel like I feel like the Daffy Duck thing is like the weird like Rosetta Stone to that movie and to
Mm,
Gremlins as a whole.
yeah.
Because you got the was it is it Chuck Jones or is it Mel Blanc that the lead kid is sitting to in the first movie when he's showing him the doodle that he does? I think it's Chuck Jones actually.
Yeah, I think so because it's like I think it was in the 80s, so he probably would have
Yeah,
still been
yeah. Because
alive.
then
Yeah.
I think it's like Chuck Jones season is like, it's all right, kid. Kind of a
Yeah.
like,
That's right.
and you're aware it's Chuck Jones. You're like, it's hilarious. But I
Hmm.
feel like all of it being so like heavily like Tex Avery, Chuck Jones, cartoon influence that like seeing Daffy Duck in the opening credits doesn't even phase me in any way because I'm just like, yeah, I know exactly where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's like, yeah, no, that is the Rosetta Stone. I love the Looney Tunes. They are great. Yeah.
Said never a phrase never uttered by David Zaslav.
I know. That's wild. Coyote versus Acme, a Warner Brothers Looney Tune movie, not released by Warner Brothers.
$70 million
Seven,
produced by James Gunn.
yeah.
Insane.
Uh, yeah, that's an NTR. Yeah, tax write off.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Um,
But anyway, any Christmas movies that I still watch are like Black Christmas, the original.
I was gonna say which one because we've got.
Yeah, there's three. I kind of like the Blumhouse one. Kind of like
I've
the
never
Blumhouse.
seen it. I remember it getting so much hate, but I never saw it.
Well, it's I thought it was fairly good. I thought it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh
Krampus! Krampus.
Krampus, yes.
Mike
I
Doherty's Krampus.
yeah, I try to watch that but not every year. Krampus is great. Uh was it A Christmas Story? Not A
Yeah.
Christmas Story, Christmas, A Christmas Story. Home Alone, and those are like, those are the regulars. Those are like, all right, watch this every year to feel in the spirit. Wrap some gifts too.
Do you have a guilty pleasure Christmas one where you're like, I know it's bad, but I'll still.
Yeah, yeah. It's a Christmas special that I watched as a kid when I had the flu. That stood with me because it's like when you have the flu and you're a kid, you like I think like your brain isn't working or you hallucinate or things are better
Is
because
it animated or is it live action?
it's animated. It is
I'm
like,
curious. I bet I might know it if you say it, but I'll let you say it.
all right, grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Ah, yes, with the iconic song Grandpa got to seize the pants off of Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've seen it. Yeah. That's
I owned the VHS as a
oh
kid.
God. You had it?
Yes, with
That
Cousin Mel. Yeah.
Cousin
Oh my
Mel,
God.
yeah.
Oh,
That's a weird movie. That's
it is
really
a
weird.
it is a garbage movie that I love watching.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. It's I don't know how to describe it. I guess you just have to watch it, but it's like I don't know, it's like literally the lyrics of Grandma got ran over by a reindeer and some executive was like, let's make an animated movie from of that.
Produced by Warner Brothers.
Released by Warner Brothers. Yeah, it
Yep,
aired
in
on
their
the
weird
yeah
direct-to-video era.
yeah it aired on the WB. But yeah, I watched that when I was like super sick during the holiday season, and it's like I think that was a fever dream of a movie, and I was also having fever dreams.
There's a really obscure Christmas special that I remember. I'm 99% certain, but I could be wrong. I think it was Aardman produced. It was called Robbie Rain.
Oh, Robbie the reindeer. He was the
Yeah,
son of Rudolph, and
yes. I
had been
remember
uh-huh.
I saw it three different times, but the weird thing is it's like when you're talking to someone about anime and it's like, which dub did you see?
Yeah,
Because
because British and
yeah,
American.
because
Hmm.
I saw it on VHS first, and then I saw it on Kids WB later, where it had been
Hmm.
dubbed, and I think they had like Jason Isaacs or like it was like something, and then I think like CBS or NBC aired it a
Yes.
third time.
Hmm.
They had like Ewan McGregor as like the lead. It was like, and I just remember each time being like, why does everyone sound different? I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like because it's like I think Ben Stiller was the American
That's right, it
voice.
was Ben
Ben
Stiller.
it was
Yeah.
Ben. I forgot who's like it's like Craig Ferguson maybe in the British.
Uh,
I don't know.
that's so weird. It's so.
Yeah, maybe
I
it's
don't even know
Clay.
if it was Aardman or not. But
It's claiming. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. It could have not been in an Aardman style. Yeah.
yeah. I'm surprised you're the only person I've ever brought it up to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know all the deep cuts.
It's got like two sequels, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has like hooves of fire and then
That's
something
right.
else. See, like I joke to people, like I have all this useless film and TV knowledge. Like instead of knowing how to change a tire or like how to like change your oil or like, practical life skills, I have like what year Robbie the reindeer came out, you know? That's
I'm
what's
I'm glad you and I have that in common because when I ask my
thank you.
wife like actual real world things and she explains them to me, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Do you want to hear the history of Ridley Scott's Robin Hood and how it started off as a script called Nottingham? It was about the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood were the same person.
And she's like, no.
Oh, I don't know how many times she's probably heard me talk about that.
Yeah. It's all good.
It's my weird
Mhm.
fascination. I'm like, how did that start there and then end there?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, kind of changing gears to our last topic here. Had been kind of having this question on podcasts for the holiday season. Kind of changed it up here because it's comics. Kind of like, I don't know, question. What comic book character would you take to a holiday party? Your function. I don't know, plus one, doesn't have to be your date, just could be like, taking a friend or something.
My instinctual answer
Yes.
is because he is my favorite um weird subsection. My favorite DC character, Superman.
Yeah.
My Marvel character, or my favorite Marvel superhero is Spider-Man, but my favorite
Mhm.
Marvel character is Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler would be.
Okay.
But specifically, not to be all actually about it, but specifically the Excalibur Chris Claremont era. He is the coolest, funniest, sexiest dude in the room, Nightcrawler.
Oh
That is
yeah.
the dude that's filled with genuine holiday cheer.
Yeah.
Religious Nightcrawler, keep him far away from me. I do not vibe with that guy. I would
Yeah.
not want to go to the holiday function with him because he would be lame and he would be very Catholic about it. But
Yeah.
like Excalibur, I'm sleeping with Storm and Kitty Pryde, and like everybody loves me. Oh, he
Oh
would be so much fun. He
yeah,
would be the best, unequivocally,
yeah.
absolutely.
In recent runs, they've really like amped up the Catholic guilt for him, and I'm
Well,
like,
now they're dialing back. Now they're going the
yeah,
opposite direction, and now
yeah,
he's fucking again. And I'm like, cool, the cool guy
yeah.
is back.
Nightcrawler, yeah, he's a good X-Men.
Right
That's a
next
good
to me.
choice. Yeah, that's a good choice. I would love to like that specific era of Nightcrawler. I'd love to like go to a holiday party, a New Year's party with him.
Oh, he would be
It'd be
like,
great.
he would be charming and would be like doing tricks and shit. He'd have like a great sweater,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you'd probably honestly though you'd get there with him, you'd be having a good time with him, and then you'd like lose him about middle of the party, and then he'd probably be like macking on some other like the Charles Xavier's the
Hmm.
Gift of Youngsters is just Charles Xavier's like House of Swingers because
Yeah,
everybody is being with everybody there. It doesn't matter who.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, that's cool. I was gonna say, I guess yeah, we'll do like DC and Marvel. I would take the DC character. I would take thinking about this. I want to do two, if that's cool for
Yeah,
DC.
yeah.
Yeah, no limits. I want to take Nightwing and Alfred. Be cool.
You know what? Nightwing was all Dick Grayson was always was he was almost my pick because I was like, I want someone well adjusted who's gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Because for Marvel, besides Nightcrawler, I almost said Daredevil. I almost said Matt
Oh
Murdock.
yeah. He'd be cool. Yeah.
Matt Murdock and Christmas to me are so
Hmm.
the iconic Mark Waid. I'm not Daredevil sweater.
Yeah, yeah. And
Incredible.
it's good. It's good. Marvel, I would take Wolverine because I think Wolverine needs to get out. Needs to not be by himself during Christmas because when people it says a lot about your favorite X-Men. Mine is Wolverine. I know it's a very basic answer, but it is Wolverine,
I
you
mean,
know.
he's the best at what he does. And plus, if you got him out, you could surround him by like Christmas, so no one would have to hear about Boxing Day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good picks.
These are yeah, I think we workshop this pretty well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Um
take it over to Marvel and DC and allow them to do holiday specials with each of them.
yeah, there.
I do miss them. DC still
Oh
does it occasionally. I do
yeah.
miss when both companies would do like a big oversized uh
Yeah.
a issue. I wish they
Yeah. I love those because sometimes they had like really good stories. Like I don't think it was in a specific issue, but there's like a Marvel team up where it's like full Human Torch and Spider-Man.
I know
Like
that, yeah. I think
yeah.
Dan Slott wrote that one, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
no, it was like in the 70s.
Was it in the 70s?
It's like they're trying to stop the Sandman on Christmas.
Oh,
And then the
amazing.
Sandman just wants to go to his mom to like wish her like give a gift, and they're like, all right, like we're not gonna like take you in, but maybe in the new year.
I want I want more writers to capitalize on Spider-Man at Christmas. It feels
Yeah.
so right. I love the Miles Morales game for like actively like linking that together by having it be Christmas set, but like and
Hmm.
like, No Way Home kind of tries to in the last 5 minutes, but like
Yeah, yeah.
they made
Yeah.
that if they made the whole movie set at Christmas, I would be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, a lot of good Christmas recommendations. This was great. I guess just kind of like wrapping up here. I just want to say, thank you, Wyatt, for being on the podcast. This was cool to finally have you. We made it happen. We
Thank you
gotta
for
like, yeah, of course, we gotta talk. We gotta like chill about like, all our favorite like weird hyperfixations. You know,
the
and
only place you can hear two people consciously talk about Robbie the reindeer.
yes, yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't know any other podcast that would like know that,
No,
just the Waffle Press podcast. This is
well, when you outed yourself as a Venture Brothers fan to me,
yeah.
you can't be a fan of that show and not have the most like eclectic, wide, useless range of like culture knowledge.
Uh yeah, I love the Venture Brothers. Oh, there you go.
Oh
Venture
yeah,
Brothers Christmas.
yeah,
Christmas. Yeah, that's a
that
good
has
one.
Krampus in it.
Yeah, that does. But anyway, Yeah. Anything, any like social media or any plugs you want to do before we let you go away?
I am on I what am I on? I am only on Instagram
Okay.
currently. So
Okay.
you can find my personal account where I very rarely post much there. I only really post to my story, but it's at the Lavender Lemons. And then if you're a fan of Knights, like go and check it out and follow our Instagram and at Knights Comic Book, where
Hmm.
we post a lot more about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are the only two slots. Knights issue 3 is out in stores now. Issue 4 comes out January 4th, I believe.
Hmm.
And Knights has a merch shop, so if there's people that
Mm.
are checking it out and they want to get something for themselves for the holiday or something for somebody else who is a fan as well, like go and check that out.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be sure to put all the links for those in the description.
Awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Thanks for your time. Like this was great. I'm glad this finally happened. Yeah, hope you have a good Christmas as well. Happy holidays and everything. So yeah, and then we hope to have you back too. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
dude, I would love to. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
do like a Robbie the Reindeer special.
Oh my God, yes, please. I would love to break down Robbie the Reindeer post holiday. Like just like I will do crazy meticulous research on that to find out why there were three dubs of it.
Oh my God. We'll find it out. We'll find it out. But yeah, I guess this has been the show. Thank you again. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram at the Waffle Press, on Twitter at the Waffle Press Podcast, on Instagram. We're on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.